guys, it's Anthony Bandiero here, attorney and senior legal instructor for Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training, bringing you the Roadside Chat. This question comes from an officer in California, LA Sheriff's Department, and says, hey, can we search a car under the motor vehicle exception if it's missing an engine? All right, let's kind of go through it, right? So the officer's like, what does readily mobile mean in the context of these vehicle searches? So the officers had a case where they find a suspect in the vehicle that is parked on a public street and the vehicle is on cinder blocks. Welcome to LA. No tires, no engine. They arrest the suspect for whatever. Search isn't to arrest that person. They find two 9mm rounds in his front pocket, which is indicative of obviously having a firearm somewhere, right? Why do people just carry rounds of ammunition without the gun to go with it? And while the suspect was in the back of the car, the patrol car, they went up to that vehicle and they searched it and they found a gun underneath the front seat. Are we good? And the officer actually gives a lot of context here about some of the cases that he's researched, because he does really enjoy the Fourth Amendment. And he says, readily mobile, the U.S. Supreme Court has said that, they upheld a search of a car in the inventory lot, right, without a warrant, despite the car being in police custody for 3 days. California versus Carney talks about how just because you're living in a vehicle does not mean that it's a home, right? That's RVs and so forth. If they're on the streets, right, and they're readily mobile, they are fine. But we have seen some cases where the car was had a flat tire and so forth. We also have a case called United States versus Short. It's 8th Circuit, and where the U.S. Supreme Court denied hearing it. And it said the automobile exception of the Fourth Amendment applied to a vehicle with flat tires, and thus the warrantless search of the vehicle was justified. It was in a parking lot, other people were around, and it was easily repairable, and it did not lose its inherent mobility. Okay, so let's kind of get through this, right? So the motor vehicle exception is really based, the reason why the courts allow you this broad latitude and so forth, wide latitude in searching these vehicles is because of four things. Number one is sometimes there will be exigencies. Sometimes you'll be in a situation where you know that if you don't get this evidence now, you're going to lose it. That's not here. The second one is a reduced expectation of privacy. Vehicles are highly regulated. They're on the street. You can see inside of them oftentimes, right? They have the license plate inspection requirements. Then the third one is that often it is actually better for the driver to get the car searched without a warrant than for the cops to take the car, go get a warrant, recover their evidence, and stick the guy with the tow bill, right? Many times these car searches are either fruitless, they don't find anything even though they had probable cause, or the cops will find something like misdemeanor marijuana and just release the person and go on their way. And then finally, the fourth reason that you'll never see in a court case is that if the courts required cops to go chase paper on all these car searches, they would not get any sleep, right? So you would basically blow up the judge's phone because you're doing so many warrantless searches. Going back to here is my general proposition: no go, right? Because if there is just no chance that this vehicle is going anywhere or has even the inherent mobility, not sure, I shouldn't say that the car is not going anywhere. That implies exigency. But if there's just no way that this car can be readily mobile with repair anytime soon, it's not inherently mobile. And you shouldn't search it under that exception. Missing an engine is not light mechanical repair. I call that the AAA rule. That's not the AAA rule. This thing needs to go and get probably being junked. However, I'm getting the impression here that this person is sleeping in somebody else's car. I mean, is it his car? I mean, I see no facts indicating either way, but is it his car? If it's not his car and he's just a homeless person who's basically getting out of the elements, then you could search it under abandonment. The vehicle sounds abandoned, right? Especially if it's not his vehicle. Now, if it is his vehicle, then it's clearly not abandoned because he wants to keep it as his own habitat. So that's what I would do in this case. I think we can argue abandonment here, but I would not argue the motor vehicle exception. One last thing before you go, okay? If you had the probable cause before the car became immobile, so you're chasing somebody that did a drug deal, right? And the car crashes, and the car is no way that it can go anywhere soon. Search it under the motor vehicle exception because you had the probable cause before it crashed. But if it crashed and then you developed a probable cause, you should not really use the motor vehicle exception there. If it's really just smashed up. Again, we're talking about severe damage to a vehicle. All right, I hope it helps. Very good question, but the officer is right, though. The courts will bend over backwards to uphold these searches, but this one seems a little extreme under the motor vehicle exception. All right? All right, keep the questions coming, and do me a favor before you leave. It helps me out, and it helps your fellow officers out. Hit like, subscribe to that channel, tell your friends about us. If you have any questions for us, go to bluetogold.com and ask your questions. And until next time, my friends, you stay safe.